Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of From Zero to Dreamfort. In this episode, we will be getting safe and building some of our initial barriers. We'll be building a small starter fort on the farming level, and we will be getting all of our stuff underground and getting ourselves safer than we are out here. We've already had a small agitated eagle attack, and our dwarves fended them off quite nicely, but we don't want to be exposed to that for too much longer. You can see our dedicated stone hauler is doing his job and pulling the stone into the stockpile next to where it's needed. And we're starting to build up a nice stash of blocks and other required furniture. So referring back to our checklist here, next is farming, to be run when this level is all dug out, and it is. You can see that the exposed tiles have started to grow some grass. That is fine. Let's copy that and paste it into here to bring up farming 2 and lay this down. There we go. Now, here we have our farm plots that are laid, our starter tomb, starter offices for our manager and bookkeeper, a dormitory here, and a starter dining hall up here. Then we have our farming-related workshops down here, fishery, tanner shop, and garbage dump area. These 2 large stockpiles here are for food, and then we have smaller stockpiles for pots, barrels, jugs, and bags as they are needed for their adjacent workshops. Let's make a few of these top priorities so in case dwarves get tired, they'll have a place to come. These are already set up to take from our starting food stockpiles, and so our dwarves have already started moving our food and booze down from the top level into this safer area. And right here are the seeds that are getting moved down, since that's also already linked up to our starting food. An important thing to keep in mind when building Dreamfort is to never get too far ahead of yourself. It may feel tempting to go and designate all the blueprints as fast as possible, but we don't want to overload all of our dwarves with tasks. It'll just bog everything down and make it so nothing gets done. Another thing that we can do to help move things along is to specialize the workers we want to stay on task. Our stoneworker in particular should be focused on building blocks for a good part of the front of the game until we run out of manager orders. None of the other workshops are really all that important at this point. We need to specialize them. We can keep them versatile, but the stoneworker should be specialized to keep them on task. Our stone hauler should still be hauling stone. Where are you? Oh, yes. You're off updating stockpile records for a while, and then you'll get back to hauling stone. Let's check down on our industry level to see how that's coming. And they're still digging. We've exposed some jet, some usable non-economic stone. That's definitely a good thing. And saltpeter. And of course a few gems and limonite. Once these guys get done digging the industry level, they'll automatically go down these stairs and start digging out the services. We don't really have to keep too close of an eye on them from here on out. Just every once in a while check on them to see if they're almost done with digging everything, and once they are, you can unspecialize them or give them some engraving work to do. Okay, so our farming level is all built out except for tables and bits of furniture. That's okay, that can come later. We don't need to worry about that too much. We can move on to surface 3. So go back up to the surface, paste that into the launcher, and lay it down right in the center. This is going to build our initial fortification against danger. Once these get built, all of the holes that led down to the lower levels will be plugged. There will be a wall around our immediate stairwell, so we'll have someplace to hide. Our animals aren't quite protected yet, but our dwarves can be if necessary. Doors will come in the next step. And there's our manager off getting more stone for us. Thank you for keeping our stone worker productive. And everybody else who is free is grabbing the blocks that have built up in the stoneworker's workshop and using them to build this wall. Okay, they're coming up to the end of the initial protective constructions. Let's go down and look at Industry 2. Because now our industry level is all clear. Paste that in and lay it down. Now, there's quite a bit to do here. We have to remember to assign our minecarts to the quantum stockpiles that we've just set up. The melting of the goblinite, not necessary yet. We don't yet have the manpower to do the melting. And running the library basic orders is going to happen in just a few steps. So what happened here? We have a whole bunch of stockpiles now, and a whole bunch of, not a whole bunch, just a few important workshops. We want to get these assigned right away to make sure that the right people are working on it. We want our stone carver here, and on this one, we want to assign this to our planter, who, remember, is our backup stone cutter. So we can just enable stone cutting there, and just have the rock blocks appear. We're a little late on that one. The Craftsdorf, of course, goes to our Craftsdorf. The mechanics go to our mechanic. Our carpenters goes to our carpenter. And that's it for now. You can see they've already built our minecart stops, so we can start assigning minecarts here. A quantum dump, if you're not aware, is you have a feeder stockpile that gets filled with goods, and then you have a minecart set up on a minecart stop that is set to dump immediately. And as these items get put into the minecart, they get dumped into this secondary stockpile, which then can hold all the items as they get dumped into a single square. It's an excellent way to reduce the space needed for your stockpiles, and it increases FPS by quite a bit, since large stockpiles can drain your FPS. So, how do we get minecarts assigned here? Well, you could do it from the hauling cart menu and set it here, but we can also do it automatically with assign minecarts. Assign minecarts all will assign a minecart to all the routes that don't have one already. So that's all you do there. And here they are. So now as this stockpile gets filled with rock, it'll get put to this minecart and then dumped here and be easily accessible by the workshops that need it. Now that we have things set up here, we can start winding down our workshops on the surface. So let's jump back up to the surface, and first thing to do is remove the ability of all these to take general work orders to make sure that there aren't any tasks. And then we can start dismantling them. Look inside to make sure that there aren't any that are currently in use by jobs. The stoneworkers in particular, you want to make sure, like this one right here, this door, don't, if you see this symbol, do not dismantle the workshop, because that will scatter the items and cancel any of the jobs that are in use, or that have these items in use. So let's leave this one here for now, and just cancel these out and let those move downstairs. No more work orders are going to be scheduled because we set this to 0. You are safe to dismantle. Wheelbarrows that are assigned, it doesn't matter for them, they'll just get picked up wherever they're lying, so you are safe to dismantle, and you are safe to dismantle. And we'll just leave this one here unused until all these items are gone. We can also get rid of these starter stockpiles. We can pause this confirmation and get rid of all these just in one fell swoop. Okay, now we're all cleaned up here, and we can lay down surface 4. Put that right here. So what is this? These are all the bits of flooring that are going to go under other furniture when we build the next step. We also built some walls where doors are going to go. It also put in the doors around our immediate secure area. And if you look up a level, it built a roof on top of this. So it's not just going to be a wall, it's going to be an enclosed area and completely safe. If you look off to the side here, it's kind of hard to see with the double layers, but there is a forked layer of flooring that goes this way. This whole area is eventually going to be a roof, but we're building this portion of the roof right here in this step because it's going to be covering beds in our barracks that are going to go here. And you can't lay down a bed unless it's inside. And the way you get an area to be inside that's not underground is you build a roof over it. So now we wait for our stoneworker and our assistant stoneworker to make some blocks. You can see here they've already started putting our ores and flux into this quantum stockpile. Furniture, finished goods, and wood get dumped over here. And textile, equipment, and bones get dumped over here. We also have a few extra stockpiles around the side. This one up here is reserved for moods. This means that this jeweler's workshop, if you look at where it's assigned to take from, it can only take from the stoneworker quantum, the gem feeder, and the good woods quantum. This is for when you want to encrust items. Those stockpiles are this one here, and this here, and not this one. So this stockpile is not connected to this jeweler's workshop, meaning that if you try to cut gems or encrust things, they will not be taken from up here. That's how we can keep these safe, because some strange moods require an uncut gem. Over on the right, we have a stockpile for dye. You cannot put any kind of liquids or sand into a quantum stockpile, because when they get dumped out of the minecart, they'll just spill on the ground. So dye gets here, lye goes over here, and sand goes over here. We also have a small stockpile for wood. Most of the wood is going to get dumped into here, but we'll keep an indicator stockpile here so that you can tell at a glance whether you're completely out of wood or whether you still have some in stock in here. Similarly, we have stockpiles for coal, flux, and iron right here, so you can see at a glance whether you are out of those. And then steel bars go along this bottom stockpile. Our next step is laying down Industry 3, which is the rest of the workshops in this area, but we don't want to do that quite yet. We want to wait until these have all been laid out, again, to avoid giving the dwarves too much to do at once. So where are my stone cutters? Let's check. They're making a rock grate. That's what we want. Okay, so they're on task. They're just not pulling from here yet. So, the reason they're not at their workshop is because they're pulling stone from far below. What we can do to make that go a lot faster is force them to take from the feeder stockpile and the quantum stockpile. But you don't want to do that until there's enough there. Right now, we only have one leftover block of tetrahedrite, which isn't even supposed to be here, just here because it was mined here, and very little stone here, just one. So if we say only take from the stockpile now, that just means they'll get nothing done. Once our stone hauler fills this up a little more, then we can attach this stockpile to the workshops around here and have it go a lot more efficiently. But not quite yet. Need to build up a little bit of a cache first. Looks like our secondary one is probably farming, yes, which is also important. Let them finish that before they get back to the blocks. So I think I will take a cut here and wait for them to build some more blocks to get some of this done. Patience is key. Alright, coming back in here a little bit, let's take a look at where we are. You can see these getting assigned as the blocks are created. We'll let those get built, but going down a few more levels, we can see that our miners have made some good progress and are quite a bit ahead of the game. They're already down here in the guild hall level. So this is farther forward than we need them to be. We could actually use their help in hauling right now. So let's go back into our labor menu and take off their specialization and take off their mining, just for now. And we'll let them go and haul and do some general cleanup and get things in order. We can also see that they have dug our drain all the way over to the side, so we can prepare this. We go to our smoothing, and at highest priority, designate this very last tile for smoothing. Now this tile is the one that's adjacent to the edge of the map. There we go. Do not go there. Okay. So smooth on the very edge of the map. And since it's the number one priority, eventually someone will realize it's time to do it and come run over and do some smoothing. As soon as it is smoothed, we'll go down here and get our fortification carving and carve a fortification into that same tile. That will allow any water that builds up here to just flow right off the map. Thank you, Mrs. Woodcutter. We'll get the rest of these items cleaned up later, once we have a dump zone. So that is now all prepared. How is our surface coming? Alright, they're continuing to build the flooring. And with the miners now on hauling duty, you can see that this stockpile is starting to get some more stone in it. We have 5 stones built up here and more being brought. That's still not quite enough to link the workshops and make them take exclusively from here, but we're getting there. Okay, now we have a fair bit of stone built up, so we can go and lock this workshop to the stockpile. So click there, and we want to take items from here, and we want to take items from the actual quantum stockpile itself. Now later on we're also going to want to be able to build slabs here, so let's also take from this quantum stockpile over here where our spare slabs are going to be. So now when she gets done with this item, she will just rush over here and grab a nearby rock instead of running down to 10 Z levels below her and getting something from down there. And that will make things go quite a bit faster for her. We can also link this one up for when our farmer gets enough time to do anything about it. Take here, and take here. We don't want to link up our mechanics workshop quite yet because they have yet to make the traction benches, and those come from a variety of places, and it just hinders that particular part of the process. We'll do it later. The craft source workshop, though, is restricted to just stone crafting, so we can say this one is now taken from here and here. You have to check here every once in a while to make sure that you're staying ahead of the game. If you start emptying this out, you need to assign more dedicated stone haulers to keep them fed. Okay, how's our farming going along? You're almost done. And how's our surface? Surface is looking pretty nice. Almost done with all these down here. And just a few more to go. Alright, this level is just about done, or at least this step of the level is just about done. So we can look at the next one, Industry 3. Copy that, go down to our industry level, and lay it down. This is going to bring up the rest of the workshops. They don't need to be assigned to masters quite yet, unless you happen to have already an immigrant that that is especially skilled in it. Oh, it looks like we did get some migrants. I didn't even notice. We're up to 11. That's not a huge number, but it's enough to keep us going. And our goslings have hatched. So up on here, nice new goslings running around. You can assign the male egg layers to that central zone right here. Keep the female ones running free so that they can get auto-assigned to nest boxes when they grow up to be adults. And look at that, they're nice and quickly filling this level out. There's some extra space up at the top for some more workshops of your choice. I think I'll have some suggestions for those later. And this area down here can have more forges and smelters, since it's in this general area. And also, if you look down one layer, this area here is left clear, so if you do want to pump up some magma or bring them up in minecarts, this is a good place to put the magma so that you can replace the different forges and smelters up here with magma variants and reduce your fuel consumption. Okay, so we have 11 population. That's okay, but we definitely need to start addressing our food and drink supplies. So let's take this, orders import library basic, and paste that in. And what did that do? It gave us a bunch of orders to work with. This one up here, that's the rest of our blocks. We only have one left, so we're actually getting to the end of our stoneworkers requirement for the initial rush. But don't worry, we'll have more orders to generate in just a minute. And then the orders that we just enqueued cover meals, brewing, and creating other low-level items that keep the fort running. Like this is where our thread is spun into silk. Our rock pots are kept in stock. Jugs, bins, minecarts, cages. This is the low-frequency, steady resupply of all the basic requirements that we need for our fort. So we just let this run in the background, and it will generally act to keep our fort healthy. And as those orders are validated, they will get distributed to all of our workshops, and our dwarves will go and start doing things. Our ash is already starting to get supplied here, and we should start seeing soap here as the materials become available. Alright, let's stop there for this episode. Next episode we'll work into becoming more self-sufficient and clearing out more on the surface. I'll see you there.